Nigeria's political space is shaking once again. What began as a quiet demand from a few voices has now turned into a loud national cry. The call for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has reached a new level, and this time, it is coming from some of the most powerful names in the country's political history. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar made headlines earlier this week after posting a tweet that immediately went viral. In his words, he said that the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu despite several court rulings is not only against the law but also against the spirit of justice and unity. He wrote that obeying court orders is what keeps democracy alive, and Nigeria must always stand by the rule of law, no matter who is involved. That single tweet sparked a wave of reactions across the nation. It was simple but powerful, a reminder that leadership must be guided by fairness, not fear. Following Atiku's statement, former President Goodluck Jonathan also added his voice. He called on the government to seek peace through understanding rather than confrontation. Jonathan said Nigeria is a diverse nation that can only remain united through justice, dialogue, and forgiveness. His calm tone carried a deep message, one that resonated with many Nigerians who believe that Kanu's case has gone beyond politics. It has become a question of whether Nigeria truly believes in its own justice system. Across Abuja, the atmosphere has become tense. Reports from inside the capital show that several closed-door meetings are taking place among top political figures, religious leaders, and even traditional rulers. Many of them believe the time has come to end this matter once and for all. They say that continuing to detain Kanu despite clear court judgments is damaging Nigeria's image both at home and abroad. It is not just the opposition that is speaking. Even some senior members of the ruling party are beginning to whisper their concerns. They fear that if this situation continues, it could deepen divisions and create unnecessary tension across the country. Some have quietly told journalists that the government has everything to gain by releasing Kanu and nothing to lose. Everywhere you turn, the issue of Nnamdi Kanu is now part of everyday conversations. From marketplaces to universities, from offices to transportation parks, Nigerians are talking about it. The matter has gone beyond politics. It is now about national unity, human rights, and respect for the rule of law. Activists and youth groups have also joined in, sharing Atiku's tweet and Jonathan's remarks on social media with the hashtag #ReleaseNamdiKanuNow. It trended for hours, filling timelines with comments from Nigerians at home and in the diaspora. Many said they never expected to see high-profile politicians like Atiku and Jonathan take such a clear stand, but they are glad someone finally did. Political observers say the timing of these statements is not accidental. With elections drawing closer and the government facing growing criticism over economic hardship and insecurity, the call for Kanu's release is now a test of leadership and moral courage. Releasing him, they argue, would not be seen as weakness but as a step toward healing a divided nation. Even some religious leaders have begun to weigh in. They say peace cannot reign where justice is ignored. They warn that ignoring the voice of reason will only fuel anger and mistrust. Many Nigerians are beginning to see this issue as a symbol of something larger, the constant struggle between justice and power in their country. As the calls grow louder, it is becoming clear that this is no longer just a regional matter or a movement led by a few activists. It has become a full national discussion backed by respected figures who understand what is at stake. Atiku's bold tweet, Jonathan's soft but firm remarks, and the rising support from different corners of the country have all turned this issue into one of the most talked about topics in Nigeria today. The walls of silence are beginning to crack. The people who once avoided the subject are now speaking openly. The tone of the nation is shifting. A movement that began in the streets has now reached the highest tables of power. And as the pressure continues to rise, one thing is clear, the demand for Nnamdi Kanu's release has become too strong to ignore. Inside Aso Rock, the tension is beginning to build. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is now facing one of the most serious political pressures of his time in office. What began as a legal issue has now turned into a national debate, with every word, every silence, and every delay being watched by millions of Nigerians and international observers. Those close to the presidency say the issue of Nnamdi Kanu has become a major topic in almost every high-level meeting. Ministers, advisors, and security chiefs have all been asked to give their opinions. The discussions are long, emotional, and divided. Some argue that releasing Kanu could send a message that the government is weak. Others say holding him against court rulings is far more dangerous, as it paints the government as one that disrespects the law. The reality is that the pressure on President Tinubu is no longer coming only from the streets or social media. It is now coming from the very people who understand how fragile Nigeria's unity has become. Atiku Abubakar's tweet and Goodluck Jonathan's calm message have changed the tone of the conversation completely. These are not small voices. They are national figures with strong political influence, both within Nigeria and abroad. When they speak, the country listens. And when they speak together on one issue, the pressure becomes almost impossible to ignore. Reports from inside Abuja suggest that even some of Tinubu's closest allies are beginning to quietly advise him to consider a peaceful resolution. They believe that obeying the court's decision and releasing Kanu could calm the growing tension, especially in the southeast, where frustration is slowly turning into anger. Several governors from the region have also sent private messages to the presidency, urging dialogue instead of silence. The streets of Enugu, Onitsha, Aba, and Owerri are filled with discussions about the same thing: when will the government release Nnamdi Kanu? For many young people in the southeast, this is no longer just about politics, it is about identity, fairness, and justice. The longer the government delays, the more restless people become. But the pressure does not stop within Nigeria's borders. International organizations and human rights groups are watching closely. Some have already called on the Nigerian government to respect its own court rulings. Diplomats in Abuja are sending regular updates to their home government about the situation. Western nations that once avoided the subject are now asking quiet questions behind closed doors. The tension is spreading far beyond Nigeria's shores. Inside Aso Rock, Tinubu's team is trying to manage the situation carefully. They know the decision they make will define the administration's image for years to come. Releasing Kanu could win them praise and ease the anger, but it could also attract criticism from some political and security circles. On the other hand, continuing to hold him could lead to protests, unrest, and deeper mistrust across the country. Atiku Abubakar's tweet has been described by many insiders as the spark that reignited this national debate. It was not an attack on the government but a call to conscience, a reminder that the strength of a nation lies in how it treats its own laws. Goodluck Jonathan's comment soon followed, adding moral weight to the discussion. The former president's calm voice reminded Nigerians that no country can move forward if injustice is allowed to continue unchecked. Political analysts believe Tinubu is now standing at a crossroads. Every move he makes will carry a political cost. If he chooses to free Kanu, he may face backlash from some of his strongest supporters. But if he keeps Kanu detained, the public anger could grow beyond control, especially with elections drawing closer. Some insiders believe a middle ground may be found, one where Kanu is released under certain conditions or through a political agreement that ensures peace. The situation has also started to affect the atmosphere within the ruling party itself. Some party members have reportedly expressed discomfort over the growing criticism, fearing it could hurt their image in the southeast and among human rights advocates. Quietly, some have begun to distance themselves from the government's position, saying it is time to follow the law and move forward. As the days pass, it has become clear that this is no longer a simple legal matter. It has turned into a symbol of justice, unity, and leadership. The longer Kanu remains in detention, the more it shapes how people view the Tinubu administration. Atiku's tweet and Jonathan's message have given the issue new life. Their words have forced Nigerians to ask deeper questions. Why should a citizen remain in detention when courts have ordered his release? What message does this send to the world about Nigeria's respect for justice? And how long can the government continue to ignore such powerful voices without appearing deaf to the cries of its own people? Across the political landscape, the silence of some leaders has become more noticeable. People are beginning to ask why others who once claimed to stand for justice are now quiet. But as more respected voices join the call, the silence of others becomes harder to justify. In moments like this, leadership is tested not by words, but by decisions. And for Tinubu, the decision ahead is not just about one man. It is about the credibility of his government, the unity of the nation, and the legacy he will leave behind. The calls are growing louder every day. The pressure is increasing from every corner, from the streets, from social media, from political heavyweights, and from international observers. Every moment of delay deepens the question in people's minds: will Tinubu finally act? Right now, Nigeria is waiting. The political stage is hot. The people are restless. And all eyes are on the president to see whether he will choose peace, justice, and unity, or continue down a road that many fear could divide the country even more. The atmosphere across Nigeria has become heavy with expectation. From the quiet streets of the southeast to the busy corners of Abuja and Lagos, everyone is watching and waiting. The question has become a daily one: what will President Tinubu do about Nnamdi Kanu? The voices calling for his release are no longer just loud, they have become emotional and persistent. Nigerians are no longer whispering their frustrations, they are expressing them openly. Every new day brings fresh statements, more reactions, and deeper debates. People have started to see the issue as something bigger than politics or tribe. It has become a mirror of how Nigeria handles justice, truth, and leadership. Atiku Abubakar's tweet remains at the center of that storm. It continues to circulate across social media, shared thousands of times, quoted on television, and discussed in public gatherings. His words have stayed in people's minds because they represent something rare in Nigerian politics, a call to conscience that crosses political lines. Goodluck Jonathan's calm reminder that peace is impossible without justice also struck a chord, especially among older Nigerians who still remember his time in office as one that valued dialogue and peace above conflict. Every day, more leaders, activists, and ordinary citizens are adding their voices. Some speak with emotion, others with reason. But all are united by one common demand: that Nigeria must respect its own courts and free Nnamdi Kanu. Even those who do not fully agree with Kanu's past statements are saying that the law must be obeyed. To them, it is not about supporting separatism, it is about defending justice. In the southeast, the mood is mixed, between hope and impatience. Many feel that they have waited too long for fairness. Market women, students, transport workers, and business owners all say the same thing: the continued detention of Kanu is deepening pain and mistrust. Some even say they have stopped believing in promises, because justice in Nigeria often moves too slowly. In the north, west, and south, the discussion has also spread. People are beginning to see that this is not just an issue affecting one region, but one that tests Nigeria's unity. Religious leaders have spoken during sermons, calling for wisdom, forgiveness, and healing. They say the country cannot continue to live under tension and bitterness. Inside government circles, the pressure is reaching a boiling point. Tinubu's advisors are trying to find the right balance between the fear of appearing weak and the risk of letting the issue damage his government's reputation. International media are now watching closely. Reports about the growing calls for Kanu's release are appearing in global newspapers and TV networks, painting a picture of a government struggling with a major decision. Diplomats from Western and African countries are quietly urging dialogue. They are warning that the matter, if not handled with care, could ignite new unrest or damage Nigeria's international image. Some foreign missions have already advised their citizens to avoid certain parts of the southeast, a move that further shows how serious the situation has become. Meanwhile, Nigerians continue to express their frustration online. The hashtag #FreeNamdiKanu trends almost every week, sometimes climbing back to the top after every new statement from a prominent figure. Young people on TikTok, X, and Facebook create videos, songs, and posts demanding justice. It has become a movement that crosses social and political boundaries. But beyond the noise, there is a deep sense of emotion running through the country. Many feel that Nigeria stands at a crossroads. They see this moment as a test of whether the government truly believes in the constitution or whether it only uses it when convenient. Some even describe the issue as a silent referendum on justice, a way of measuring how much faith citizens still have in the system. Observers say Tinubu's decision, whatever it may be, will shape how history remembers him. If he releases Kanu, it will be seen as an act of courage and reconciliation. If he refuses, it could deepen divisions and leave a lasting scar on his administration. Political analysts also point out that this matter could influence the mood heading into the 2027 elections. Nigerians are tired of rising costs, insecurity, and division. The call to release Kanu has become a rallying point, a symbol of fairness and humanity that cuts across party lines. The government's handling of it will either calm the people or fuel more frustration. In homes across the nation, people are watching the news with quiet hope. In markets and transport parks, the discussion continues every day. Some believe Tinubu will eventually listen and act in the interest of peace. Others are not so sure. They say politics has its own way of delaying justice, especially when pride and power are involved. Still, the voices of Atiku, Jonathan, and other national leaders continue to echo. Their combined influence has given strength to ordinary citizens who once felt ignored. They have reminded Nigerians that no matter how powerful a government is, it must always listen to the people and obey the law. Now, the entire country stands in a kind of silence, the silence that comes before a big decision. Everyone knows something must happen soon. The people are waiting, the leaders are watching, and the world is observing. In the end, it is not just about Nnamdi Kanu anymore. It is about Nigeria, about whether the nation will choose justice over politics, unity over pride, and peace over anger. The next move belongs to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And whatever choice he makes will not only define his government but also write a new chapter in Nigeria's history. For now, all of Nigeria waits, hoping that when the final decision comes, it will be the one that brings peace, justice, and unity to a nation that truly needs it.